Yeah, and I think it ties into the some of the work and the commentary and the involvement you have around procurement with purpose.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
because
exactly.
even if you just look at that supply chain part of the conversation,
Yes,
when you're digging into the supply chain, if you're looking to deal with sustainable suppliers and your
yeah,
organization is focused as part of their core values that sustainability or diversity and inclusion is particularly important,
yes,
um, then how do you make sure that's happening within your supply chain? Or,
yes,
how do you make sure the right things are happening throughout that supply chain? And if you look at, for example, diversity and inclusion,
yeah,
there's the fairness aspect, and then there's the pragmatic aspect of get different opinions, get,
yes,
cognitive diversity, which comes
yes,
from different backgrounds, different cultures, different places, different
yes,
experiences. And if an organization wants to truly harness that, they need to make
yes,
sure it's not limited within their whole supply chain. So I think you're
yeah,
right. That visibility just allows an organization to up the level. But
yeah,
also then you've got the resilience and the risk side of it, which is hugely apparent at the moment that, yeah,
yes.
you're right. People need to be addressing that.
Yeah, so yeah, you're right. So focus there on risk and resilience, but I totally agree about the idea of a resilient supply chain or a sustainable supply chain to me, and what I understand or how I understand that does obviously include risk and resilience. Yes, so making sure that your supply chain and your strategy to the provision of goods or services has backups. Yeah, okay, that or disaster recovery. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, but actually, as you say, there's a whole load of things that studies and results that I've seen from let's say previous challenges that previous global challenges, so whether it's 2008 or those different pieces, where there's a whole lot of studies that show that. So first off, organizations that innovate through those challenges see results during the pandemic or during the downturn, but they also see like a 30% growth opportunity coming out of those downturns. So actually, there's a piece there where you say, well, look, the time to innovate is right now, where it's dirty and ugly and you feel like you don't have time for it. Now is actually the time to innovate. How do you make sure you can innovate? First off, it's about collaboration with vendors and being open and understanding with them. But really, it's about diversity of thought in your own organization. And how do you get diversity of thought? I entirely agree, is by not having everyone be exactly identical. Yeah. So it is possible, of course, to innovate very well and to be very creative if everyone's exactly the same. But it's possible, but less likely, shall I say. Yeah. So some of the great strengths through my career is I have been lucky that in most of the organizations that I've worked in, it's been very diverse. And so, and whether that's by design or good fortune is a different discussion. But actually, where you say, look, to be able to benefit from the thoughts of someone who's coming at it from a slightly different viewpoint, it is really, it's beneficial for you as an individual, but it's really beneficial for your team. And I love the idea of diversity and inclusion as being really strong, a really strong message for sustainability, because that's something that we can affect in our own team straight away. Yeah. So actually, when you're building your team, when you're growing your team and looking at that, look at diversity of thought, as you say. And it might be actually diversity of location now in the new Zoom world, where we're all, we can be in different locations. We can have, can maybe be broader in the geographic spread that we have in the team, and that might help with diversity and inclusion as well. But I think that if you focus on that piece, then when you start to go outside into the supply chain and the supply base, you will already have built in some of those different thoughts and those different approaches. And diversity and inclusion it isn't only about making sure that you've ticked the box or you've met the criteria for minority businesses in the US, or I've even forgotten how many Z's and how many B's, but it was double Z, treble B, or whatever that we had in Africa at the time when we was working at SAB. But it's not a box ticking exercise. It's about starting from yourself. From your own self, are you open to different ideas and looking at different things? Then in your team, how are you building that thought and that diversity of thought in? And then you will gain the benefits in the supply chain and the collaborations, I believe.